Good evening, everybody. It is Jay Scott. This is The Hook Rocks. Welcome to another episode. It's been a few weeks since we did our last episode with Don Crash from the band Heat. Great episode, great conversation. We did the Amazons. We did the Cold Stairs prior to that. And we are back on the best new albums of 2020 from April to end of June. And we welcome back a repeat offender, Mr. Chris Corradetti. What's going on, Chris? How you doing?
Good. How are you, Jay?
I'm doing good. You know, I mean, now that we're out and about here in Illinois, I can't speak for where everybody else is listening to, but Illinois is at phase 4. And that means that restaurants are at 50% capacity. We can eat outside as well. And you know, businesses are reopening, which is good, and we're having good numbers. And I almost, by the way, before I begin, I almost burnt down my kitchen prior to talking to you tonight, which was just absolutely, you know, that's another reason why I was late on the call. Because I'm like, I was cooking a DiGiorno because it was a DiGiorno night. You know, it's not delivery, it's DiGiorno. And
there you go.
Some of the cheese fell off in the bottom of the oven. And proceeded to make my dog bark, all the smoke, fire alarms going off. It was entertaining. Had to open up all the windows, and pizza still tasted good. It wasn't charred or anything, but it was just this piece of cheese that ended up at the bottom of the oven. But nevertheless, we powered through. We had the pizza, and here I am talking to you.
Works for me.
How are you doing, man? How's it going? How's it going out there in Colorado?
It's going. I am, how do I want to say this? Being more of the puss in going out to places. I'll go to stores, wear my mask.
Yeah.
I'll go work out with a very, very small group of people, but I'm not really down with going to the bars or the restaurants yet.
No, neither. I mean, I've been to 2 restaurants, and both times I've chosen to eat outside rather than inside.
Okay.
So, been doing that. I can't understand why wearing a mask is such a angry, polarizing issue. I've never thought that I would see this day where wearing something that, you know, the science isn't 100% guaranteed, but more or less it's got to have some benefit, right? And I just, I just don't understand why people get so irritated when they got to put a mask on. It's like, it's a minor inconvenience. What's wrong with you? I don't know. I
think you can sum it up best by saying a lot of people are stupid and irritating. That's just me.
Yeah.
That's just my take on it.
Yeah. It's, I mean, how long are you in the store for? You're in a grocery store for probably no longer than 25 minutes to a half hour. I mean, at least me. I mean, I'm in the store 10 minutes. I'm out, you know, like I get my stuff. I know where to go. Boom, boom, boom. I'm gone. I mean, wearing a mask at a grocery store for 10, 15 minutes or 25, 30 minutes. I mean, at the end of the day, is it really that big of a deal? I mean,
no.
I mean, I don't know, but
here's the good thing: you don't have to wear a mask when you listen to music.
That's true. That's true, and that's what we're going to get into. We did a best of 2020 for the first 3 months of the year earlier this year, back in what was that? The early part of April. We did that episode,
I think so.
And now we have April, May, June. Now, what I want to say before we talk is there's a lot of albums that have been pushed back and postponed as a result of what's been happening. And, you know, whether it's the Dead Daisies, whether it's the Tuck Smith album that I've been waiting on, you know, there's several albums that are ready to go, but I don't know what's going to happen because as I've noticed over the last couple of weeks, a lot of shows, a lot of tours have been canceled to 2021, namely Rat and the Cinderella tour, the Motley Crue tour, those bands. So I don't know if touring is going to be, or people are going to be able to do that, you know, or bands are going to be able to tour even if it's the end of the year. So are they going to sit on this stuff till 2021? Are the Dead Daisies going to do that? I haven't heard anything what they're going to do. I know originally I thought they were going to release the album over the summer because when I talked to Doug Aldrich, you know, he said May, and obviously that didn't happen. So that's a big question mark. You know, I mean, a lot of albums that you and I were anticipating being released over these last 3 months didn't happen. So, there's two schools of thought. There's release the music so people have time to digest it because people aren't doing much, or wait until people kind of get back in the groove and are ready to go see some live shows and capitalize on that. So depending on, where your thinking is, I know some artists have released some singles, and that's cool. But
right.
Yeah, some of the albums that I was anticipating coming out just have not been released yet.
Yeah, especially with a lot of the bands who are saying, well, we're going to release it in spring, and then it was, summer, and then there's been no communication. So, yeah, it's a little odd. I would prefer that they release it so we can digest it and get ready, but, who am I?
Yeah. I mean, at this point, who knows what the future is going to be? I know there's some bands trying to play some clubs. I know, those are in states where they haven't really had a tight lockdown or a tight quarantine. I don't know. I'm still nervous about going out, even if it's 25%, 50% capacity. I don't know if I'm ready yet mentally to absorb a show. I don't know.
Right.
So,
well, and then the flip side is true too, or the flip side is like you got people out there like Christian Shields who drops this great album early in the year. He's ready to go, and then the world shuts down, and he's kind of like just sitting there holding the bag. Like, well, what the hell just happened?
Yeah. He may have to do like a Guns N' Roses "Welcome to the Jungle" type thing. If you remember when that song dropped, it didn't do anything for months. It didn't move the needle at all. And then they re-released it, and then they blew up. And that's something that maybe a lot of these new artists who were hoping to get some traction and get some momentum, a lot of bands that had momentum kind of lost it because of what's happened. It wouldn't surprise me if there is a need to re-release the stuff and try to get some momentum going, and try to get in front of people like they were anticipating originally. Right. Well, without further ado, let's do our top 5 for the last 3 months. We're at the midway point of 2020, and that in itself is hard to believe because, I mean, it feels like this year's been like 20 years, and, it doesn't even seem like there's any seasons. It just seems like days that run together, and who knows what day it is half the time. But we are at the midpoint, believe it or not. In just a couple months, or just a little over 5 months, it'll be Christmas. And we'll be celebrating. We'll
be getting ready for the next hockey season.
Yes, if that ever starts too. Who knows what's going to happen there. So, all right, man. So if you want to go first on your top 5, let's do it.
Okay. This is really hard. This was much harder than the first quarter.
I agree with you. I agree with you.
And this fifth one was hard, but there's a band that I found from Mike at KRA is Adam and the Metal Hawks.
Okay.
Their self-titled debut. It's kind of riffy and melodic and a lot of fun to listen to. I enjoy listening to it. I don't necessarily relate lyrically to some of this because these guys are so young. I have the CD in my car right now, and every time I hear the guitar player, I think, God, it's really good. And then I actually look at the case, and I see how young he is, and it makes me feel really old. But it's a great album. I think my favorite song is I think it's the 10th one on the album, called Something Else. But they're a young band out of Long Island. It's their debut album, Adam and the Metal Hawks. A lot of fun to listen to.
Yeah, I need to check them out. I've never heard that band, so definitely on my list now. You always do
I think
recommend good stuff.
The kid, the Adam, the lead singer, I was reading some stuff a couple months ago. I think he made a decent headway in like American Idol or something of that nature. And then he got hooked up with the band that way. But there were a ton of albums. that I could have picked, but this one was in the car this morning, and I really like it, so it got the nod for number 5.
Awesome. My number
All right, what about you?
Yeah, my number 5 is Joe Satriani's Shape-Shifting. This was an album that was released in April. I had Joe on the show to talk about the album, and it was really a different way he recorded this than the previous ones. This was a lot more, how they were feeling and improvising and kind of planning out the song while they were recording it or before they were recording it. So it was really interesting to hear that perspective on how he recorded it. It's a very upbeat album. It makes you feel good. It's it's typical Joe Satriani. It's mesmerizing and hypnotic and just good.
It's the same but different. It's great.
You know what? That's really a good way to describe it. It is the same, but it is different. It's Joe, but Joe. If you are a fan of Satriani like I am and have been listening to him since Surfing with the Alien, you understand what I'm talking about. That it does sound like Joe, but it's a little different the way he did it. So I was really into the album. Great interview. If you have a chance to check it out, it was probably released I think back in May or April, and just a great conversation between Joe and I. And check it out if you haven't.
Yeah, his song "Perfect Dust" is my favorite off that album.
Oh yeah,
he in your podcast, he mentioned something really interesting that I use for at work, and I think about a lot during phone calls. He had that you guys had that conversation about memory and how he had thoughts. You were asking him when was the first time, what got you into this, what got you into that, and he'd say, well, my mind, I think I was this years old, but as he thinks and relates it goes back, and basically he's saying that your memory is only as good as the last time you were thinking about something. And that relates to my work a lot. So I think about that interview quite often.
Yeah, that was a really interesting, turn in the conversation. Joe is a pretty intellectual guy and likes to learn new stuff. You can always tell that he's, he loves knowledge. He loves attaining knowledge. And, we started talking about the memory bank and how the brain files memories and moments in your life, and just a really interesting conversation. Did not expect to talk about that stuff, but it was great nonetheless, and I'm glad we did.
Yeah, he's a pretty interesting guy, and it certainly came through.
Yeah, absolutely. What's your number 4?
So my number 4 album is your perfect happy hour soundtrack. It's Hard Bones, No Frills. It's Kicks meets AC/DC. It's I don't want to put too many words into this because it's exactly what it sounds like. It's just something you put on when you want to sit around and have beers with your friends and listen to good music. There's no overthought into this one. It's exactly what it sounds like. It's awesome. My favorite song is actually kind of apropos to what's going on now. If you listen to it, it's a song called "Back in the Day," and it's talking about what it was like for these guys back when they were younger and listening to music and chasing girls and going to shows and drinking. But it's really apropos to July 2020, when all you really want to be doing is going to shows and having drinks with friends, and you can't do it.
Yeah.
So it's funny. I wanted to buy the CD. I am a CD person. I enjoy the physical copy of the music, and I really wanted to get this physical copy. So I went to the Hardbone website, and I went to go buy it. In between, the international shipping and this value-added tax that the German government has, it was going to cost me over $50.
Really? You should try to find
I went to Google Music and got it.
Well, yeah, I mean, I would try Discogs. Someone might be selling it on Discogs.
Yeah, I always forget about that. I got to start doing that.
I'm happy when I forget about Discogs, because if I don't, I'll have to file for bankruptcy. Because I can go down a rabbit hole on Discogs and be gone forever.
Yeah, I'm going to have to send you an email and get some recommendations on some live albums and concerts and bootlegs. but that's a different episode altogether.
Yes, it is. All right.
So what's your number 4?
My number 4 is the Rocket Dolls, The Art of Disconnect.
Great album.
Yeah, great albums. So much growth from the previous record, and so much, it's got such a great vibe to it and so much great energy. Just really enjoyed listening to it, and, it's one of those CDs that I listen to probably at least once or twice a week.
It's, I got that like a week early, cause I pre-ordered it. There's 2 albums, I think, years from now when we look back at, the winter of 2020 and COVID, I will think of the Rocket Dolls and Writers Create, because they both came in at the same time. And I will always remember sitting on my bike, freezing my ass off in the garage. And I just listened to these 2 albums back to back to back. It's a great album. It's a great pick. I love that. The song The Grip and Grin and Bear It. It's good stuff.
Yeah. And if you have a chance to follow Nicky Smash on Facebook, he's got a pretty entertaining page, and I think you'll enjoy it. I mean, he puts his heart and soul out there for you. Great front man, great voice, great dude. So I highly recommend, if you're on Facebook, to go like his page or friend him or whatever he has it set up with, because he has some really good stuff on there.
Will do. That's
and
cool.
he's a big Rec fan too, which anyone who's a big Rec fan always becomes a friend of mine. So that's awesome as well. So what's your number 3?
It's an interesting album. It's Spirit Rising from Philip Sace. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. It's your kind of ripping blues rock guitar album. There's a couple covers on there that are really good. Actually, 2 of my favorite songs on the album are covers. One was a Jeff Healey cover, and another one's a Magic Sam cover. My favorite one, the Magic Sam one, is called Give Me Time. It's a real vocal, soulful song over a little bit of a blues guitar. But then I think a song that could really, really be popular with people is a song called Black Roller Coming. It's great. This was an album or a CD where I reached out to him on his website, and one of his, the folks who worked for him got back to me and said that the album is not available for purchase, either physically or digitally at this time. They were hoping to have a CD and a download available during maybe touring starting next year. And it just kind of took me by surprise. When was the last time that an artist, put an album out and it didn't make it for sale?
That's crazy. That's, I don't know why that happened. There's a lot of things that happen behind the scenes, but you know, when you are an artist that's up and coming, or an artist that not a lot of people know about you, and you're releasing new material, you got to be ready to go. You got to have that stuff locked down and ready for people, because when they hear it and they like it, they want to go get it. And you're losing opportunity because, people will forget, unfortunately, because people's attention spans is so short these days that, and we've talked about this many times on the podcast, that, what's popular today or what you like on a Friday is gone by Monday. So, yeah, I hope he didn't lose too many opportunities with that. I need to check that album out. I think you did send me a direct message about listening to that, so I need to do that.
It's a really good, upbeat bluesy guitar album. I mean, it's a lot of fun. You put it on the background. You'll get into it. I think you'll really like it. There's a Jeff Healey cover called "One Foot on the Gravel." That when I listen to it reminds me of like the feel and energy to like an early '70s Stevie Wonder song. Mm-hmm. And then there's a kind of relatable track that I think most people would like called "Burning Out." It's real good stuff. You would like it.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to check that out. You always do. You know, I said this earlier, probably about 10 minutes ago, but you have some kick-ass recommendations, and you know, I always appreciate when you send me stuff, and sometimes I forget, you know, that you sent me it. I'm like, oh yeah, these guys are great. I just, you know, I started listening to these guys, and I'm like, you're like, yeah, I sent you that. I'm like, oh shit, dude. I'm like, I'm sorry, you know, but no, man, you do an awesome job, and you know, for those of you who don't know, we are going to be changing the format here coming in August. Chris is going to be a part of that, and I look forward to him sharing his knowledge on new music and his excitement for new music. So be ready for when that starts. I'll be obviously announcing more information as we get closer to the launch date, but things are changing here at the Hook Rocks, the Ultimate Rock Community Podcast, and it's going to be a pleasure having Chris a part of it.
You know, stroking my ego is always a welcome thing, Jay. Nice job.
Hey, man, you know, that's why all the teachers liked me in school, you know, because I always complimented them.
That's why they didn't like me.
No, but serious. I mean, the reason why I wanted you for the new look, the Hook Rocks, is because you do have a wide knowledge of new music, and you are passionate about it. And you know, there are some people out there that just, you know, like new music, but once you get into a new band, I mean, you are a definite, you know, fan that
fanboy.
I wouldn't say fanboy, but you know, you go to the mat for them, and you promote them, and you tell people about them, and that's what people should do, you know, is when you hear something you like, tell more people about it. You know, there's people that throw up new music, and you know, you don't even hear about the band anymore, and you know, when you like something, you know, you keep on it. You know, you keep posting stuff about the bands that you like and the new bands that you're listening to. You know, it's not just a one-shot deal. So I do appreciate that, and that's you know, that's why I thought of you when we were planning out the new look for the Hook Rocks.
Cool, very cool. All right, well, enough blowing sunshine at my ass. Who's your number 3?
My number 3 is 1000 Mods, Youth of Dissent. This is a band that I freaking love, you know, and they're from Greece, and they've got like a Sabbath, punkish type of vibe to them. This album is very conceptual in where it's got a common theme throughout. About the youth and knowledge and where the world's going today, not just here in America, but everywhere. You know, they've got a great story of how they started. They've every album that they've released has always been different. 1000 Mods, Youth of Dissent is an album that has more of the shorter style songs, 3-4 minutes, 5 minutes. Some of their songs on their other albums, you know, were long and they were jams. So they're evolving as a band as well, but just a great album, a great vibe to the band. Another act that was going to tour the U.S. here in 2020 or 2021. I hope they still are able to get to do some shows, you know, because that's one of the big concerns out there is some of these bands like your 1000 Mods and some of these smaller acts that are out there that rely on those small clubs to play in front of an audience. The possibility is strong that a lot of these clubs are not going to make it, and they're not going to have an avenue to play for you. That's a big concern, a big concern.
Yeah.
So, you know, they're one of the bands that, you know, comes over. They do like a month, 6-week tour of the States. They play all over. You know, they make some money. I don't know how much they're making, but it's all about them playing for, you know, in the States and doing that. So a band you should support. Again, if you're a Sabbath fan, check them out. They really got a great vibe. 1000 Mods, Youth of Dissent is my number 3.
The back half of that album, especially Young, like a long jam, or I think it's the longest one on the album. The back half of this album reminds me, it's got like a Crowbot feel to it.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
It's a good album.
Yeah, I loved it. It was one that I was definitely anticipating in 2020, and I couldn't wait till it came out. And when it did not disappoint.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's good. I like Less is More and Pearl.
Pearl is
it's
a
really
great
good
tune. Yeah. Pearl is a fantastic song. So,
Yeah.
a band you should be listening to, definitely, if you are listening to the podcast. What's up? What's number 2? What's your deuce?
I have a feeling. I know you know this album. I'm curious to see if it makes your list. It's an album that's full of guitar tone and hooks, and I don't know how the hell they're not popular or hitting mainstream. But it's Sunshine from the Black Moods. It's just a completely remarkable album. But Sunshine's a great song, but also Throwing Shade and two of the songs that I really like Belladonna and What You Got. I was reading that they released them back in 2018 when they left their old label and then re-released them on this new album. It's a great album. I always remember when I was reading up on this like a month or two ago, right after it came out, and I wish I knew what magazine or I wish I knew what writer. Somebody on Twitter wrote this, and I'm paraphrasing here, but they said that the vibe of the album is a mix of, and I hope I get this right, it's like Gin Blossoms, The Doors, and Foo Fighters. And it really stuck with me because it's really accurate, and it just, this album screams like mainstream hit if there was rock radio.
You know,
I digress.
I just recently discovered them. The album did not make my top 5 because I really didn't have a long time to digest it, but it is something that I do like, and I definitely want to keep revisiting it. And because there's actually an album that didn't make my list for the first part of the year that made yours, and then I got to listen to it more and more, and we're going to talk about that album too as well. But I feel the same type of deal with this record. I just didn't have enough time to really listen to it, but what I did hear, I did like.
It screams. It's funny. As I was waiting to do this podcast, I went in and made a Spotify playlist of a couple songs off each of the albums that on my list. So I'll send that out and listen to a couple of these. And they're kind of maybe a step down from Big Wreck. You know, not as it's guitar driven and hooky, just a little different. But it's still that kind of fun, addictive sound. And I feel like this is a little more mainstream. Like if this album came out in '94, these guys would be huge. You know, not to say that it's grunge. It's just that at that time when radio was still accepting of it, you know?
Sure. My number 2.
So what do you have?
Yeah. My number 2 is an album that I was looking forward to for a while. This album was recorded a couple of years ago, and I think he was just kind of fine-tuning it over the last 18 to 24 months, and that is Butch Walker's American Love Story is my number 2. It is a political album. And, you know, for those people who don't like politics in their music, you're probably not going to like it. For those that are open to listening to fresh ideas or different perspectives, you will. Because it's not a one-sided type of political point of view. It actually it actually includes both sides. So that's what I really appreciated about the album. He's a fantastic songwriter. He's a guy that I have followed for many years. I've seen him in concert many times. He never disappoints. I will say when I first heard this album, it was the video feed of the movie. He did a movie because it's a conceptual album. It's a rock opera. And it's a love story about hate is how he calls it. And the theme is, are we having a conversation? So when I saw the movie of it, I didn't connect with it right away, as I mentioned in the album review that I did with another Chris Ricardo, who got me into Butch Walker. And it didn't connect with me. Like, I watched the video or watched the movie, and I was just kind of like, it's not hitting me. It's not. And then the following day, I listened to it without the movie, and the connection was there. And then I got it in my car, listened to it in my car, the connection was there. I mean, the song Gridlock, which is the first single off the album, is one of his best songs. Yeah, I mean, it's so well done, so well written. Just a great tune. But be prepared, be prepared to listen to something that maybe you're not used to. Don't be one of those people that says, oh, stay in your lane, because I believe that anyone on this planet has the right to an opinion and a right to express that opinion. And if you don't want to hear it, you don't have to listen to it, but you shouldn't tell someone to keep their mouth shut, basically. I think that's wrong. But it's a great record, and I really enjoyed listening to it.
This was one of the ones that almost made my list, but I felt confident that I could leave it off because I felt like you were going to put it on there so we would still get to talk about it.
Yeah.
It's a really catchy album, and he's a great writer, like you were saying, and he's funny. I mean, he takes serious topics and stuff, but he'll throw some one-liners in there that just literally make me laugh and put a smile on my face. And it's got like a rock element and a pop element, and it gets serious and it gets funny, and then all of a sudden there's like this guitar solo on that song "Out in the Open." That's great. But I think my favorite song is, I like Gridlock and "Fly Over State's Fun," makes me laugh, but what's it called? "Fuck It, I Don't Like Love," or "I Don't Love Love."
Yeah.
It's a great song. Listen to that song 3 times and it'll be stuck in your head for a week. This is a catchy album.
"Out in the Open" had the guitar solo on that has a very Gary Moore type vibe to it.
Oh, I didn't think of that. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. I mean, like when I heard it, I'm like, wow. I'm like that, because it's a totally different style than how he normally plays. It is very different. And what you'll notice about this album is that he incorporates a lot of the influences throughout the decades, a lot of his influences. So you hear a lot of different stuff like, that sounds familiar. Or, yeah, that sounds different, and or that sounds like I've heard that before. And he does that on a lot of his records, too. That's one of the trademarks of Butch Walker, is that he can play something that's familiar but different at the same time and has the Butchness that he kind of spreads across the song. And it's very interesting how he records. But I was looking forward to the album. The rumor is he's got another album too ready to go. I think I heard that him say that. I might be wrong, but if he has more material, it's always a good day when Butch releases new music.
Yeah, no, this is my introduction to. This is my first Butch Walker CD, or album. And I've got your list of stuff to listen to going back through his catalog. So this is a good start. This is a great album. Good choice.
You mean you haven't listened to that stuff yet?
I have not got to it yet with the 87,000 other things.
No worries, man. No worries. When you do listen, you're going to enjoy it. And as I told Chris, if you're looking to get into Butch Walker, he was in the band South Gang, which was, an 80s hard rock band, or they were kind of like in the 90s, early part of the 90s, towards the tail end of that movement. He did some stuff in between. He did the Floyd's Funk Revival, which were some bands that he was trying to figure some things out with. And then he did Marvelous 3, which is some of the best music that I've ever heard. There's 3 albums, but Ready, Sex, Go and the Hey album are 2 great albums that you need to have in your collection. It's very power pop type style. And then his solo albums, started out with Left is Self-Centered, went on to Letters. I recommend, because they connected with me, if you do Sycamore Meadows, I Liked You Better, When You Had No Heart, and The Spade. Those 3 really connected with me. Kind of like what I was going through in life at the time. Afraid of Ghosts is a very personal record that he did, and
that was the one about his dad passing, right?
Yes, yeah. And
when his dad was sick, or
I think some of the stuff was written when he was sick, but it was recorded after he had passed. And following Butch on social media, you do realize that he had a very close relationship with his father. His father took him to his first Kiss concert, his first rock concert, which was Kiss back in, I think, 76 or 77. So, and then, of course, Stay Gold, which is another great record, which I really like, and now this one. So he has really, defined himself as a great singer-songwriter, great performer. If you want to see someone in concert that will blow you away, that has just an absolute joy of playing live music, it's Butch. And he'll play $25, $20 per ticket. You can go to a small club and see him. He's got great musicians backing him up. I can't say enough about him. He's one of my favorite artists of all time, and he will not disappoint if you ever go see him live. I mean, it's a great experience.
So number one, huh?
Well, we're going to pause because we're going to go over some other things now. So we've got singles that have been released. We've got EPs. We've got albums that didn't make our list in the first part of the year. We got albums that, I think that's probably where we should go. Let's go with albums that didn't make our list. What do you got?
Oh, from the first part of the year?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I've got two. One is a fairly obvious one. It literally came out like a week before I think we did the podcast, and that's Pearl Jam's album. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
I don't need to waste much time talking about it. It's phenomenal. And if you don't like Pearl Jam, I don't know what to tell you. The second one is one that, oddly enough, when you and I got done doing the podcast, you texted me, and I listened to it, immediately bought it, and haven't stopped listening to it. And that's Sadler, Vaden's Anybody Out There.
Yeah, it's a great record.
A phenomenal recommendation. Phenomenal. I can't stop listening to this album. I mean, the title track, I think, is the best song, but 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, those tracks, all the way through Curtain Call, Modern Times, Peace and Harmony. It's a great album. It's not hard rock. It's certainly not hard rock, but I mean, it's rock and it's good.
It's like a Pete Yorn type of album.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's with what the hell? Jason Isbell and like the 400 unit, right? He's the guitar player for them, right? Yeah. It's a phenomenal album and a great recommendation on your behalf. Well done.
Yeah, I need to have him on the show. I gotta reach out to him. I gotta have it because some of the songs really connected with me, and I kind of want to get in his head as to what his approach was and what he was thinking about when he was writing that stuff.
It's good. That was my introduction to him. I've gone back and listened to his previous album, equally as good. So it was great. What do you have that we missed on?
I have one album that I honestly, did not really process it and didn't really give it much of a listen. And then I heard it for the first time when I was preparing for an interview with one of the members of the band, and that's Gorilla Riot's Peach.
Holy nuts. That's an awesome album.
That is an incredible album. And what's really, really cool about this is I love the blues. Like, I love the blues and how they incorporate the blues into their sound is very unique. I don't know any other band that's playing that type of style right now. They have a very unique sound, and it works. It's just, great songs. There's videos of them playing live. It's another one of those bands from the UK that needs to get over here to America.
Yeah. It's, one of the great things, there's literally, we were texting about this we were tweeting about this with Rob, what the hell is his tag?
Robin the Hood.
Robin the Hood. There's not a bad album on here. Legitimately not a bad song on this album. And which is why I had it as my number one album for the first quarter. And it very likely will be near the very top at the end of the year too. It's a great album. Great album. I'm happy you enjoy it.
Yeah, no, it's something that's been in my playlist ever since, and it's an album that I have not gotten tired of. Not one song. It's just a great record.
it's really hard to describe their sounds too.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's kind of bluesy, it's kind of grungy, but it's neither blues nor grunge. It's rock and it's hard rock. I honestly don't know how to describe it accurately. I'm clearly not that intelligent enough to do so, but it's certainly worthy of a purchase.
Yeah. What about albums that didn't make your list for these 3 months?
I have a list of a couple. I legitimately liked every one of these. I'm a nerd. I keep track of everything on an Excel spreadsheet, and everything I'm about to give you is 2 or 3 stars. Even though I haven't listened to it, I think maybe 3 or 4 times, the Larkin Poe album, awesome. Butch Walker, Rocket Dolls, Riders Creed, Satriani, These Wicked Rivers of the UK, Electric Mob you talked about, Mods you talked about, and then the EP, Tuck Smith's acoustic covers. It's fantastic. If you haven't heard it, you should give it. It's 4 or 5 covers. An Excess song, one of the Who, a Bowie song, and a Kiss song. Real good stuff.
Yeah, the albums that didn't make my list, you know, the ones that we have in common, obviously the Larkin Poe album is really, really good. And I think if I had a longer time with it, it probably it could have made my top 5. Electric Mob,
in that Pearl Jam slot.
Yeah, you know, Electric Mob, you know, another great record too as well. Devil Skin Red, which came out in April. I'm not really into like metal, but this album just really connects with me. It's got a lot of different stuff. The musicianship on the album is incredible. I love listening to it. You know, it's something that I like to listen to, you know, in the morning when I'm kind of waking up and kind of gets me going. But that is definitely one that I like too as well. Tuck Smith, the acoustic covers, I did like it. It's a total jam. But the EP of mine by Tuck Smith is the What Kind of Love EP, which was a limited run that he did back in April or May, and he autographed it and everything. So I was able to obtain one of those, which I was really excited about. So that was a great EP. And that's a guy whose album should have been out already. I think that was also going to be out in May, just like the Dead Daisies we mentioned. And I think he's postponed it. A lot of it had to do with what was going on with the stadium tour with Motley Crue and Def Leppard, because he was the opening slot. But that's a guy that I'm rooting for. That, you know, he is the goods, man. I mean, he's a great songwriter. He's got a great voice. Again, he's been on the New Music Spotlight. Check out his interview as well that I did back in January, I want to say. But I love Tuck Smith. Another band that released just here at the end of June, released a 2-song EP, which was The Love Honeys. 2 songs are Rock Bottom and Victory, a band out of New York that I'm really into. Tommy's a really good guy. He's the guitar player. So those are some EPs and some albums that didn't make my list. Something that I added, and I don't know if maybe you weren't prepared for this because I didn't really tell you, but singles, bands that have released singles that haven't released albums that are of note. And, you know, one of the bands that I love, one of the newer bands, released a single back in June called Odyssey. It's by Joyous Wolf. Incredible song. It's a little bit different than what was on the EP, and I like that. And that's something that Nick Reese did talk about when I talked to him, was, you know, the push to keep evolving and changing as they make music, which I think is really impressive for a new band to put themselves out there and not just stick with what people are are liking at the moment, but they want to keep going. They want to keep evolving, which is, you know, with musicians. I think that's really awesome. Another song that really resonated with me that is completely different than anything they've ever done. I mean, this song knocked my dick in the dirt. It was freaking incredible, and that is Let You Down by LA Guns, which, holy shit, that song is the goods right there. I mean, if that is what's forthcoming for their new album, again, this is the real LA Guns. This is not the imitator that has someone that used to play drums for him. This is the real LA Guns. This is with Phil Lewis and Tracy Guns, along with Ace Von Johnson, and I'm not sure who's the bass player going to be or the drummer. I know Scott Coogan was touring with them. I know he didn't play on this song due to some logistics issue, but I don't know if that's those two positions are going to change, but I know just an incredible tune. Some other stuff that I've been listening to, some singles, The Cold Stairs, Don't Waste Time
That's
with...
where I was going to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, why don't you talk about them? Because I know you really enjoy them.
Well, the interesting thing, when I listened to your podcast, and he said, "Hey, here's how we're going to break it down. We're not going to do the EP in June, and we're not going to release the album, in the fall." I was like, "Oh shit!" But okay, we're going to release a new single every other week, for a year. Great. But when he said, he kind of framed it as, these are going to be a little different. This is not going to be like the hard rock side, and it's not going to be the folksy side. I really wasn't sure what to expect. And, the songs that they released so far are fantastic. The one that they released, was like 2 weeks ago, The Wicked and the Cursed.
Yeah.
Excellent song.
Yes, it is.
And what was the other? Forgot.
Don't Waste Time with Goodbyes.
Yes.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
That was a great song. So that's, if they continue that way, I'm really excited. I want to buy an album from them, but this will do a new song every other week for years. That's a good trade-off.
Yeah, I'm not complaining, but yeah, I do like the physical copy. But Chris is always an engaging dude. With the conversations that we've had, and that's a band that had a lot of momentum going into 2020. And listen to their story on the first podcast episode I did with them, and then with the second that was just released a few weeks back. Just a good dude and a guy that you're rooting for to make it. So
I appreciate you sticking him in the ribs a little about trying to get on Twitter.
He needs to get on
Twitter.
Twitter.
Didn't work, but I appreciate the effort.
Come on, Chris. Do it. Everybody's doing it. The last couple singles that I want to mention is Another Day Dawns, band out of Pennsylvania. Forget Me Not is their latest single, which is really good. That was released the last week of June. And an old veteran who has had some troubled times over the last decade or so, released an album in 2019 called All My Favorite Things. He released a new single called Beautiful Things, and that is Donnie V from Enough's Enough, who, as I said, has gone through some tough times, but the music on his last album that he released last year and this new single, very Beatles-esque, very if you kind of mash the Beatles and Bowie together, you have this new album by Donnie V, and I'm hoping to have him on the show here soon. I know him and I have been communicating, and hopefully we'll have him on. I mean, it's being a local boy to Chicago, Enough's Enough is from Chicago. So, obviously, we want to see Donnie do well. We want to see Enough's Enough do well. But if you haven't checked out Beautiful Things, it's a great, great song.
I have not, so I will certainly do so.
All right, let's recap our top 5, 2 through 5. Why don't you go ahead?
So I've got at 5, the self-titled album from Adam and the Metal Hawks. Number 4 is Hardbones, No Frills. Number 3 is Spirit Rising from Philip Sace. Number 2, I have Sunshine from the Black Moods.
Interesting, because you and I had a lot of common albums in our first list when we did this in April when we were reviewing January to March. I don't know if we're going to have anyone the same in this one, because my top 5 starts out with Joe Satriani, Shapeshifting, The Rocket Dolls, The Art of Disconnect at number 4, 1000 Mods, Youth of Dissent, and at number 2, Butch Walker, American Love Story. So here we are with number 1. What do you got?
I have at number 1 a great bluesy rock and roll album full of hooks and grooves, and it's Kiss the Sky from Bad Touch. It's lyrically, it's got some introspective songs, but at the same time, it's really just a great rock and roll album. Not hard rock, not pop, just a great rock and roll album. They kind of, I can't even recall them on their last album, Shake a Leg. Great. They've kind of got this like Black Crowes, Bad Company, Free vibe. The first, I would tell you, if you haven't heard the album, just get the first 5 songs a listen. And I money back guarantee. I'll give you all the money you paid to listen to this if you don't like this album.
Well, this is a band that you just recommended to me like last week or 2 weeks ago, right?
Yeah, when Rob and the Hood bought Shake a Leg, which was their, I think, 2017 or 2018 album, and and that's a great album too. But this is wow. It's kind of one of those kind of blow you away, good stuff. There's a cover. I didn't realize it was a cover, but it's called "I Got the Music in Me." It's from the early 70s. It's an artist did it in the early 70s. But when I hear it, and I can say this to you because I know you'll get what I'm going at here, it's a real fun, crowd-stopping kind of bluesy song that would be a perfect opening act for Cab Calloway and then the Blues Brothers at the Palace Hotel Ballroom, right? You can sit there, you have an orange whip, and you just kind of get amped up, listen to this, and you're ready to roll,
Drinking an orange whip.
Yep.
It's a nice reference, man.
Yeah. Again, like Come a Little Closer and I Get High and Let's Go and Strut. Those are just great songs. And then they've got a real kind of like emotional one where it certainly sounds like the lead singer wrote it about his father. I think the lead singer is like Steve Westwood or Stevie Westwood. It's one of those. Have you seen the Blacktop Mojo in concert?
I have not. Oh, have I seen them in concert? Okay. Yes, I have. But I have. Like, yeah. Are you talking about like a YouTube concert?
Yeah, either way, but like in their shows, a lot of times they kind of there's one the band gets a break, and Matt James and Kurt Mattis will kind of do an acoustic little song. This sounds like when I hear this song, I think of Blacktop Mojo kind of breaking it down and doing an acoustic set. It's a great song. It's a great album. If you've not heard it, I highly recommend you listen to it even before the Black Moods.
Okay,
it's fantastic.
Yeah, no, you sent me like you sent me that, and the first song I listened to, which was like a video, I really liked, and I haven't been able to devote enough time to listening to it. So this may make my albums that should have made my top 5 when we do this in October. So my number 1 is an album that it still blows me away. When I heard their first album, I loved it. And I thought that this was a great band, and this was a band that really has a lot of a huge future ahead of them. And then their second album came out, and that's Riders Creed Lost Souls. It is great album. For me, like, man, like whatever they stirred in the pot in the studio when recording this, it is the magic. They've got the magic with this album. It is a fantastic record, fantastic songwriting, fantastic arrangements. This is it. I recommend this album if you are one of those people that thinks that new rock sucks. All these albums outside of Butch are really all new artists. Butch and Satriani, but Riders Creed that album's phenomenal. That album's phenomenal. I mean, they're all phenomenal. Don't get me wrong, but right now my number 1. And if I had to, if I was picking a top 5 so far 6 months in, this would be in my top 5 too.
I loved this album. I wrote down in my little nerdy Excel spreadsheet there were 6 songs that I wrote down. I love these 6 songs. Memories, Chasing Dreams, and Cut Me Down, Lost Soul, Believer, Feel the Fear. So it's a great album. I'm curious. I also wrote this note down, and since you've obviously listened to it enough and you like it, let me ask you this. I wrote down that it kind of feels, and I'm not saying this in a bad way, because again, I really like this album, but it kind of feels like a tad proggy. Am I crazy?
I don't think you're crazy. I did hear that.
Okay.
Okay. Maybe not. When people think of proggy, they're going to think of like, Yes, and they're going to think of Floyd, and they're going to think of Rush, and
right.
I don't know.
No, definitely not that way.
Yeah, but it's definitely progressive, and it's definitely it really goes for it, right? Like, they're not putting any boundaries on what they're trying to do, which is very similar to like what Joyous Wolf does, which I love. Right? Mm-hmm. I mean, when Nick Reese told me, he's like, we are constantly evolving. That is our one of our goals is to always evolve and always embrace change and always go for something. And that takes a lot of balls for a new band. And Riders Creed does that too, where they're like, hey, you know what? Let's keep it going. Let's keep pushing ourselves. And you can totally tell that they did that, and it works on every song. And you're right. It's got elements of I'm trying to, I don't want to scare people off with the proggy label because it's not.
Right. That's why I was kind of hesitant of bringing it up. Yeah.
But it's kind of like if this may make sense to some people, it may not. So the Winery Dogs, right, are Richie Kotzen, Billy Sheehan, and Mike Portnoy. Their first album is really not progressive at all in the way they arrange the songs. No. It's a hard rock album. If you listen to Hot Streak, it's got elements of progginess in there, but it doesn't saturate the song. And I would say this is probably equal to that in that essence of it doesn't saturate the song. It doesn't become like a prog jam. It doesn't become like these elements that completely like are over your head. You will like it, but it's got, I would say, you know what? You know what's a really good way to kind of compare them to? Maybe not musically, but what they're trying to do. Very reminiscent of what Queensryche did. Okay, Queensryche has some proggy elements in their music, but they would never be considered a proggy or a progressive band.
I think that's a really good comparison. Yeah. Absolutely.
So that's where I would kind of compare. Maybe even like a little bit of Maiden type of stuff too, and how Maiden arranges their songs and music and stuff. It's not at that level, but it's there, and it's a fantastic record. Man, they really nailed it on that record. I mean, every time I listen to it, I'm just like, man, this is the shit. So,
yeah, no, it's a great album. It's a great album for sure.
Yeah, they're all great. So, the moral of the story is, ladies and gentlemen, is go listen to this music. A lot of it's new stuff. We mentioned a whole lot of stuff that a lot of you may have not heard of. Go out and give it a chance. Stop being a fuddy-duddy. Stop saying, new music sucks. I haven't listened to anything since 1988. Shut up.
Right.
Stop it.
It drives me insane. There's one or two people that I follow on Twitter that I think follow me. Whatever. I don't know if they do. But every now and then they'll throw out stuff like, I really miss the excitement that I used to get when I would hear a young new band that played good music. And I'm
like, what are you listening to?
What's your problem?
Yeah. There's a whole bunch of stuff that's out there.
It drives me insane. And I used to respond to people, and now I'm just like, fuck it. You're out here to complain about it, so I'm not gonna. I will not engage you. So I was just gonna say, I just realized that I forgot to mention an album, my favorite EP, and I can't believe I forgot to do it because I have completely turned into a fanboy on these guys from the past year. So if you will indulge me 2 quick minutes, I'd like to mention one other album.
Go ahead.
It's the Static EP from Blacktop Mojo. It's a really deep EP. It lyrically gets deep, and honestly, as much as I love the previous 4 albums from Blacktop Mojo, I feel like this set of 4 songs really kind of shows how great a singer Matt James is. It's I was reading that they cut these 4 songs at the same time as Under the Sun. They just held it off as an EP. The second track is "Watch Me Drown." It's Matt James wrote it about a kind of a difficult period in his life where he was struggling with a bunch of stuff, and he wrote it because he couldn't understand why no one else could see him struggling, and his vocals and the guitar work that works with his vocals is fantastic. It's great writing, great guitar work, and I love it. You should go listen to it. And this may sound crazy because, again, I've turned into a fanboy on this band, but I really, at this point, put Matt James up there lyrically with like Jay Buchanan and Miles Kennedy and guys of that ilk. Like his vocals are fantastic. And if you listen to this EP, you'll see like an additional range to it.
I do need to check it out. I have heard a couple songs off of it, but probably the last few weeks of June, I really got tied up with a lot of different things, coming out of quarantine, life kind of restarted. So I need to kind of revisit some of the stuff that you're talking about, and I look forward to it. But yeah, Black Chop Mojo, I mean, I have all their albums. I've seen them live. Great band. Just one of my favorite newer bands of the last half dozen years to 10 years. Great stuff coming out from those guys, and, look forward to more stuff as well.
Yeah.
Normally,
anything you're looking forward to this summer?
I was just going to mention. Normally, we talk about what we're looking forward to, and I don't know if we can really say because, a lot of stuff is kind of like, I don't know when that's going to come out. Whether it's, the Tuck Smith. I know Massive Wagons has their album coming out on the 17th of July. That's one I'm looking forward to listening to. But other than
I think Tokyo Motor Fist should have another. It's coming like in another week or two.
And then right? Michael Grant, the old guy from LA Guns, has got his stuff coming out too. So that's a good.
Oh, what's his band? The Assassins, right? Michael Grant and the Assassins.
Yeah. So there are some stuff, but Dorothy was supposed to have a new album out.
Right. I think Jared James Nichols has one coming in August.
Yeah, I love
I don't remember if it's early or late August. But yeah, who knows what's coming out?
Who knows? But some of the stuff we've mentioned, we looking forward to. Again, we kind of had a little bit of a phone conversation on this last week or a couple weeks ago. We don't know anything about Greta Van Fleet. There's really been no news about when their release date is. They could be a band that is holding on to their album until this is all over. But that's an album that a lot of people are anticipating or waiting for. I know Joyous Wolf recorded the Odyssey song. I don't know if they have more material. I know, they were going to cut an album this year anyway, so maybe that might be a teaser for what's to come. I know Dirty Honey was planning on going to Australia to record a new album. Obviously, those plans.
Well, now they're recording now, but working via video with their producer who's still in Australia. They're doing this little web series where they're showing some stuff. So they are recording. Whether it gets released anytime soon, that's a whole other thing.
All in all, it's going to be exciting. More new music is always a good thing. More new rock music is a great thing. And Chris and I will definitely do another recap best of in October once the next 3 months conclude. And I want to thank Chris for coming on the show once again. He's always a great guest. Look forward to having Chris with the new format and bringing his knowledge, his excitement, his enthusiasm to the show.
And we'll bring my COVID hair, too.
Yeah, I got COVID hair. I look like a hippie right now with my long hair. I got to get it cut, but thanks, man.
All right, Jay, this was fun.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Once again, everybody, that's Chris Corradetti. And we will post our list once this episode is released. Look for it. Well, don't look for it. When you're listening to it, it'll be out. But hope everyone is having a great day, hope we had a great 4th. Hope everyone's doing well, staying safe, and staying healthy. Once again, everybody, this is Jay Scott. This is the Hook Rocks, the Ultimate Rock Community Podcast. We'll talk again soon. Thank you.